Truancy. Did you ever play truant at school? Because I know I did, twice. And on both occasions, I got found out. Which kind of typified my luck back then. In fact, it probably typifies anybody's luck, any kid's luck who plays truant, because the chances are you're going to get found out. Now, I didn't do anything bad. You know, there's no great grand story coming up here, which you'll think, bloody hell, what an idiot you were for doing that. Basically, my 2 days of truancy consisted of going on the local heath land, taking a Game Boy with me, and just waiting for the time to pass. That was it. Real rock and roll. I don't even know why I did it, because I didn't get into trouble at school, no more than anyone else. I wasn't a bad lad, I wasn't a bad kid, I wasn't a bad student. I guess just one morning I couldn't be bothered to go in. And I remember the first time I did it was I waited, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Very conniving, I guess, really. I waited for my mum to sort of walk out of the house, like down the drive. And then when she sort of went by, I went into the house. But I didn't have any keys. But what I used, check this out, I used a walking stick to put through the letterbox and whack down on the latch, and it would open the door. In fact, it probably would have opened all the doors on that street, because all those houses were built around about the same time in the late 80s. So I could have been the greatest burglar of all time. Honestly, I could have been casing the joints every single night, but like I say, I wasn't that kind of kid. But yeah, I used a walking stick, and you're probably thinking, well, a walking stick, where does that come from? Well, you probably weren't thinking that, but I'll tell you anyway. It was a walking stick. The walking stick I used to get back into my house, to whack down on the latch, I stole from Stedman, from the band 5 Star, if anyone remembers them. Obviously, at the height of their powers in the mid to late 80s. And very quickly, I'll tell you that one day we were driving through Southampton or Hampshire, somewhere around that region, where my auntie, uncle, and my cousin lived and still do live in that region. And one day we were driving past, and 5 Star's house, again, I don't know if it still is there, but it was there. This big house, big gates, a lot of posh and expensive cars, which I think they had to end up selling, when they went bankrupt. But anyway, that's by the by. And one day we were driving past, and I said, what's all them people outside that house? And somebody said, auntie, uncle, cousin, whoever it was, went, well, it's 5 Star. And I went, whoa, let's go back. Because I loved 5 Star back then. So we did. We went back there and joined the crowd of people who had gathered for autographs and pictures and all that kind of stuff. And the whole 5 Star, the whole band came out. Stedman rested his walking stick against the iron gates, these really tall gates. And it looked brilliant. It made of the finest wood in the world and carved to perfection. And I looked at it, I thought, I'm having that. And I did, I took it. I stole Stedman's walking stick. And of course, when I took it back with me to the car, the first question people said is, where'd you get that from? Why have you got a walking stick at the age of 10? Or whatever it was. And I went, oh, I just found it on the floor. Look at it, it looks really nice. Looks really expensive. Anyway, obviously they fell for it. They didn't know I'd stolen it from Stedman. But yeah, that's the one that, and I feel guilty, I've got to be honest, all these years later. But it was a little bit of a claim to fame. It kind of still is. Although if you mention it to kids these days, like, oh, I've got Stedman's walking stick, they'll be like, who? Who's Stedman? What's he talking about? 5 Star? Who's 5 Star? Oh, forget it. But anyway, yeah, I used that walking stick to get back into my house. And what I did is I waited one day, it was probably just after 9 o'clock in the morning, I waited for my mum to leave the house. I was kind of waiting around the corner looking, like a burglar, like a thief, or some kind of James Bond spy. And she went round the corner, and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to go back in. So I went straight up, back up the drive. I had the walking stick out as a prop, ready, and I picked the walking stick up, opened the letterbox, put the walking stick through, and whacked down on the latch to get in. And I did get in. It took a few attempts, but it was quite a loud noise it was making as well, because you had to whack down on this thing. And I got in the house and thought, wow, this is easy, great, And then about 2 minutes later, there was a knock on the door, and I thought, oh Christ, who's this? And it was my neighbour, who at the time was a policeman, much like my dad, who was and still is a policeman actually. I think I've mentioned that before. And I thought, oh Christ, out of all the people to knock on the door, it's a bloody copper. And it's a neighbour, so he's probably going to tell my mum. So I opened the door, and he went, oh, sorry, he said, I heard a bit of a commotion there, a bit of some banging. I was wondering what it was, because I've just seen your mum going to work, but it's you, so it's all right. And I went, oh yeah, it was just me, sorry, yeah. And he was about to walk away, and he went, not at school today then? And I went, oh, well, of course I was decked out in my bloody school uniform, so clearly I was. He knew I was up to something. And I went, oh yeah, I am. I've just come back from the dentist, which didn't make any sense. Why wouldn't I just go straight to school from the dentist? But it's the first thing that I could think of. And he kind of looked at me, like his eyes kind of like went close together, as if he didn't believe me. He went, oh, okay, fair enough. So then he left. Well, obviously he went back into his house. But that annoyed me, because now I couldn't get away with my day off, because I told him that I was now going to school because I've just come back from the dentist. So it really annoyed me, and I didn't want to get found out. So I thought, oh, for Christ's sake, so I had to go outside. I guess I didn't have to, but I felt like I had to. So I spent the entire day on the heathland with a Game Boy. And every time someone went, like, kind of hiding in bushes, you know, and sitting in like sand dunes and stuff. And every time anybody went by, you know, with a dog, I'd panic. Oh Christ, this is it. You know, it was either going to be the dogs who were going to find me, eat me, or bite me, or chase me, or the owners would see this kid in the bushes of a, of a forest, essentially, and probably call the police or think, who's this lunatic? Who's this pervert in the bush he doing? Not a pervert, I just didn't want to go to school, don't shout at me. But yeah, so it was the worst day ever, because even though I had my Game Boy, it was that kind of thing where, you know, you've got to kill like about 8 hours of school time, you know, in the outside world by yourself on the heath. How the hell can you do this? So it was crazy. So every kind of, honestly, it was every 10 minutes I'd look at the clock thinking, surely it must be like 12 now, and it wasn't. It was like 9:17. Okay, I'll look at it next time. Surely it's 10 o'clock now. It's not, it's 9:26. It was a horrible, horrible experience, and all brought on by myself. Although even to this day, I'm in denial, because the person I blame isn't myself when it really should be. The person I blame is a bloody neighbour for knocking on the door, making me lie, saying that I've just come back from the dentist, and then having to go out. It's his fault. No, obviously, it's my fault, and but it's funny, you know, it's nostalgia. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's something to look back on. I mean, obviously I've left out a few other details, not hiding anything, but just try and condense the story. But yeah, it was a terrible, terrible, terrible day. So terrible I had to say that 3 times there. It really was, and it's just a moral lesson, I guess. Don't play truant. Now the funny thing is, I did play truant one more time. I guess I'll save that story for another occasion. It's a little bit more glamorous than what I did on the heathland, which was nothing. Sitting in a sand dune waiting for dogs to walk by. That kind of is what I did all day. But yeah, a bit of a moral lesson there, not to do it if you're thinking about it. So anyway, I've not even talked about the race. I finished third. This is kind of funny because I see that guy, you know, behind me, and I'm thinking, there's no way you're overtaking me, mate. Forget it. So I pushed over to the right-hand side and got away with 3rd position. But you know, I just picked a relatively, you know, slow Citroen car. Light blue colour with a white canvas top there, as you can see. And yeah, so as I always do with these games, I just pick a car I like the look of. It's not the fastest, so I'm not really going to finish first in many of these races. And I will mix the games up. You know, maybe next time it might be Destruction Derby or Outrun or maybe more Forza 4, whatever. But anyway, that's my nostalgic truancy story, if you like. And thanks for watching. See you later.